welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the countdown to two-a-days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team on our Saturday, August 14th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner here, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom, and tonight, Dan, the topic of conversation is the Coahoma Bulldogs.
And I think this will be an interesting year for Coahoma. They've got a pretty good group back, particularly on offense. 7 starters back on offense, 4 on defense among 13 returning lettermen. So they will have some holes to fill, certainly. But I think this could be one of Coach Chris Joslin's better offensive football teams. And it all starts in the backfield where they've got a 1,500-yard rusher in Bryson Kirby, and they've got a couple of big boys up front to block for him. So I think that Coahoma will be maybe starting the year a little bit stronger on the offensive side, and their defense side will have to catch up a little bit. But I expect another competitive team this year from the Bulldogs.
One thing I think there's going to be a really big key for Coahoma. They do have a few big guys. They do have a sprinkling of 200-plus pound guys, but there's not a lot of them. And by the time they get into district, they're going to need those guys healthy. That would really be a big plus. I think that's going to be a humongous key for Chris Joslin's crew this year, is to avoid that medical tent before district starts and get in there healthy. And if they do, they have a shot at a playoff run. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think you just touched on the biggest question mark that this Coahoma team has, and that is its depth. And you mentioned that as far as the big bodies go, there's starting a lot of them. And basically, a lot of those guys are going to be going two ways, as you'd expect at that 3A D2 level. So I think depth will be the big question. And then they've got 7 starters they're replacing on the defensive side of the football. So I think you're going to have to see kind of how some of those former reserves and how some of those call-ups from a 5-5 JV team are prepared to step into some of those roles and fill those shoes. So there are definitely some question marks for this Coahoma team. I do think that offensively they've got a chance to be pretty good. I mentioned it before with Bryson Kirby leading the way. I think that they're going to be able to run the football. And then they've got a talented young quarterback, Grant Glidewell, just a sophomore, a kid who got a little bit of playing time last year and got his feet wet. He's gonna have an opportunity to kind of step in and see his role increase. So I think that if he can progress and kind of give them what they need from that quarterback position, they should be able to move the ball on the ground. The question will be, I think, just that defense. You mentioned the depth, and that's definitely an issue. And then just the number of starters they're replacing. So it'll be interesting. I think this will be a fun team to watch grow. I think you'll see a lot of growth over the course of the season.
All right, let's take a quick look at the Coahoma schedule. It just depends on your philosophy. If you're a guy that wants to really prep for a deep playoff run, you may not think much of their pre-district schedule. There's a sprinkling of some toughies in there. But when you're in a league that has an Idalou, a Lubbock Roosevelt, Roosevelt really took a step forward last year. That was a good football team. And then Abernathy, you have to face somebody in your pre-district. At least you hope to face a few teams that are of that caliber to get you ready. The Fort Stand rivalry game is going to be really tough. El Dorado was pretty salty last year, but Miles C. City and Merkel are kind of in rebuilding mode right now. Is this pre-district schedule stout enough to get them ready for that district? That's my question.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think the big thing is that Fort Stand game, I think that's going to be a big game right off the bat, because that's probably going to be the biggest test of the non-district portion of their schedule. But I also think it's kind of a balance. I think it's also good that this gives a relatively young Coahoma team an opportunity maybe to gain some confidence early going into district, which I think they'll need when you start off district right off the bat with Idalou. I mean, the one thing that's good, I think, that plays out in their district schedule is after the Idalou game, they've got a chance to really basically punch their playoff ticket in games against Stanton and Reagan County. And they finish up with Lubbock, Roosevelt, and Abernathy, both of which will be tough football games. So this schedule, particularly in district, I think offers some really tough challenges. But I think that it might be good in that non-district schedule to have some opportunities to basically build up some wins, build up some confidence so that you feel like you're playing well going into district.
Game of the year for Coahoma. You call it. We'll see if we agree.
I mean, honestly, I think it's two. I think that the Stanton and Reagan County games are both big because if you win those, and I think that they'll be favorites in both. If you win those, you're in the playoffs. You feel pretty comfortable about your opportunity to make the playoffs, and then basically you pull off an upset here or there, and that's where you kind of build your seeding. So I'm going to go those two games because if you lose either one of them, you're in big trouble.
I like that Stanton game as Coahoma's game of the year. That road date at Stanton. Stanton expects to take a step forward this year. I think that that's going to be at the very least for a 4 seed, that ball game right there. I think that at home, Coahoma should be a strong favorite over Reagan County. We shall see how it pans out. But if Idalou, Roosevelt, and Abernathy are as strong as expected, yeah, the Stanton game really sticks out for Coahoma. That's going to be one that they got to take care of business, and then if they do that, then the pressure's off the rest of the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I think it's going to be important. A point you mentioned earlier, avoiding the medical tent, because you're coming right off that game against Idalou, which is going to be a tough game against a really quality opponent. You want to make sure that you're healthy for those next two, because I think those next two basically decide your playoff fate.
All right, that's just about going to wrap it up for tonight's episode of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, the Coahoma Bulldogs. But we want to remind you they're going to be answering all the key questions about Coahoma in our Saturday, August 14th preseason preview, which will be more thorough and more accurate than any other preseason preview from any other media source in the big country. Nobody's going to beat us.
In the meantime, thank you for checking out this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series. And make sure you join us again tomorrow. We will be featuring the Comanche Indians here at BigCountryPreps.com.